Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and the Washington Commanders are sending the Avengers to the Combine, man. I knew we were going to send some people, and a lot of teams usually send a lot of people, but we're sending like them ones. Like, we're sending some guys, and there's a couple of them that I didn't necessarily know if they were automatic candidates to actually go to the Combine on the Commanders' behalf, but I'm very happy that they are going. We're going to talk about names, titles, roles, all of that, because I'm pretty sure a few of these guys that we're going to talk about, especially soon after the intro when I list off the names, a lot of y'all are gonna be like, who? Like, what does that guy even do? Don't worry about it. I got you covered. I went and did some deep research on these guys, even for the couple of guys that I wasn't even sure exactly what they did going into making this video. So, man, we have all sorts of guys going to the Combine to scout for the Washington Commanders. Do we potentially have some trades in the works as well? You know, everybody and their mama gonna be at the Combine. Owners, GMs, everybody may be able to put some trades, get some motion going on some of them trades. You never know. Also, some notable NFL head coaches will not be attending the Combine. Is Dan Quinn going to join the Commanders front office members at the Combine, or will he not attend, just like a few notable names like Sean McVay? Also, who is Rob Rogers and why you should get to know him? We're going to talk about him. The Commanders have every base covered when it comes to leaving the Combine loaded with the right information and relationships, so I'm excited. Let's go ahead and dive into all of that. But before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. I have so many video ideas. I mean, I still have to talk about one of the videos I wanted to come out with 2 days ago. I'm still like, it's right there, all my notes are ready, and then so many things just keep happening and it just keeps getting pushed back because these other things that I'm reporting on are bigger priorities. So, man, when I say I have so much content, I gotta work overtime, man. We got to start putting out like 3 a day to get all of these videos out. So stay tuned, man. We have so much fun content on the way. Without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get it. Alright, so this all started when I saw a tweet from Nika Javala reporting that among the Commanders contingent that just arrived in Indianapolis for the Combine, you have Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Lance Newmark, Martin Mayhew, Brian Porter. I was like, who is Brian Porter? We got to look that up. And so we're going to talk about him a little later. Rob Rogers. And like I said before the intro, why you need to know who Rob Rogers is and how important he is to the potential success of the Washington Commanders. And my guy, Eugene Shin. And you already know Eugene Shin. I've done like an over 30-minute breakdown of how he's going to contribute to the Commanders and what he's done for other teams like the Ravens, the Dolphins, and Jaguars to help them become better as well, especially on the analytical side of things. So go check that video out if you want just a full in-depth dive on Eugene Shin alone. But also notice that Nika Javala said among the Commanders contingent that just arrived in Indianapolis. So those are some of the most notable names, but I'm pretty sure we have a lot more people there as well, like scouts, of course. And then we're going to talk about head coaches towards the end of the video, but maybe Dan Quinn is going, but just hasn't been announced. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury is going. Maybe Joe Witt Jr. is going. But right now, Nika Javala just basically gave us a lot of the front office members. No coaches just yet, but I'm pretty sure some coaches will be there. We'll see. But either way, let's go ahead and get to it, man. So the Commanders are basically taking the entire, like if you go to their team website, executive management of football operations team, basically. And even more guys outside of that, but like that whole section, the executive management of football operations is being taken to Indianapolis for the scouting combine. We're not playing, man. And when you're talking about executive management of football operations, Adam Peters, your general manager. Lance Newmark, your assistant general manager. Martin Mayhew, senior personnel executive advisor to the GM. And we'll get to him soon. Rob Rogers, senior vice president of football administration. And Eugene Shin, my guy, senior vice president of football strategy. That's just the executive management of football operations section. And then we still have a few more guys from other sections if you go to the Commanders front office page on their official website, like the actual Washington Commanders official website. Now, y'all already know, starting with Adam Peters, y'all already know what Adam Peters is there to do. really, we ain't even really got to dive into that. If anything, this is just more so taking a couple of minutes to give his flowers and also to hype him up and explain why I'm super excited about him being our general manager, hopefully for the unforeseeable future. But y'all already know Adam Peters, just like Eugene Shin. I already did a whole over 30-minute breakdown on Adam Peters as well. I believe I did like 2 separate ones once I got a little bit more information. I believe I did do a part 2. But y'all already know, man, head honcho, nothing goes without his say-so. He will have like the last say of every free agency signing and draft pick. This is his team above all else when it comes to the football side of things. Some guys can have some input, especially guys like head coach Dan Quinn and maybe even our defensive coordinators and offensive coordinator and Joe Witt Jr. and Cliff Kingsbury, and maybe even Larry Izzo, our special teams coordinator. Maybe he'll have a little bit of input, but at the end of the day, even including all of those other names that I gave you in the front office, this is the new Commanders regime that is being ran by Adam Peters. This is the Adam Peters show. And thank goodness majority owner Josh Harris is not interfering with anything on the football side of things. It is beautiful. He's already let us know that basically once he hired Adam Peters, it was pretty much out of his hands at that point. He brought in Bob Myers, Rick Spielman to help hire Adam Peters, and then he gave the keys to Adam Peters to basically be like, you figure out all of the football stuff, all of the coaching, whoever you need with you in the front office role. I'm here on the business side. Everything football, all you. Adam Peters is literally driving the boat right now. Like nobody else even has their hand on the steering wheel. Because remember with Ron Rivera, he was technically running the team. Martin Mayhew was kind of like 1B in like power of priority. There isn't even really like a 1B right now. It's just Adam Peters, Gap, everybody else. Maybe Eugene Shin is the only guy that you could argue may be a candidate of being like a 1B to the Adam Peters running the show as the obvious number one, clear-cut number one. But this is still his team. Nobody trumps over Adam Peters. Nobody can veto his rule or any of his ideas. It's his show. Everybody else is basically just adding their input, but when it comes to say and decisions, it's Adam Peters. But man, if I had to pick one thing that Adam Peters is best at, and I feel like he does a lot of things great, but if I had to pick one thing that would be his superpower, because again, we're talking about the Avengers right here. If Adam Peters is Superman, but the one superpower that he probably hangs his hat on the most is that he's arguably better than anybody else in the entire NFL at finding all pro and Pro Bowl talent outside of the first 2 rounds, man. That rounds 3 through 7, man, it's absolutely insane the rate that he's finding ridiculous talent there. Now, he was technically given credit from a lot of reporters. It may have come from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch themselves. I don't remember where it's from. I just remember calculating in my head, Adam Peters, rounds 4 through 7. He literally ran that part of the draft, and then it was like a mix of like Adam Peters and Kyle Shanahan running the first 3 rounds. But pretty much, they gave Adam Peters the keys to all of the late rounds, 4 through 7. So anybody that the 49ers have basically drafted since Adam Peters has been there, rounds 4 through 7, he deserves all of the credit for. So you have George Kittle, 5th round, DJ Reed, 5th round, Dre Greenlaw, 5th round, DeMondre Lenore, 5th round, Talanoa Hufanga, 5th round, DJ Jones, 6th, Juwan Jennings, 7th, and Brock Purdy, 7th as well. Ask Kyle Shanahan, ask John Lynch, they will all agree that Adam Peters deserves, if anything, at least the most credit for a lot of those draft picks right there. And don't forget, he also oversaw the 49ers trading for Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. So when he feels that it's necessary, when he feels like the team is good enough and we just need to go get an elite player at specific positions, not the entire roster, kind of how we are right now where we're rebuilding. Well, according to Dan Quinn, we're recalibrating right now. But either way, when it seems necessary, when he deems it necessary, he will go make a blockbuster trade. Don't worry about that. The whole bargain bin shopping thing that we've been doing with Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew for the past few years. I mean, of course, through free agency, you're not just going to do a whole bunch of splashes. We're not about to go out there and sign Brian Burns, Antoine Winfield, and Saquon Barkley and Mike Evans. That's just unrealistic. You're going to bring in some guys that you get on cheap deals that may outperform those deals. And I always welcome those. But one thing with Adam Peters is that when he feels like the roster is ready, or if it just makes sense in any way possible, he will go make a big trade if he needs to. And in free agency wise, he will pay a guy big money if that's what it takes. But he's already said it himself. He builds through the draft. And from those draft picks alone that I just read to you, you can tell they really did build through the draft. A lot of their best players came from the 49ers drafting them, and more specifically, Adam Peters drafting them between rounds 4 through 7. And if you want to give Adam Peters at least a little bit of credit for All-Pro Fred Warner, 3rd round from the 49ers. I mean, their ability to draft talent, specifically Adam Peters, to find talent rounds 3 through 7 is just absolutely unfair. That's why I keep saying that, like, even though I prefer to take quarterback number 2 overall, like, easily, it may not even be close. But if we were to trade back with Adam Peters in our corner, I'm still like, yeah, this could work out. This could be a great idea potentially. Ron Rivera and company, if they held this number 2 overall pick and decided to trade back, I would be highly disappointed because I wouldn't have any faith in them to actually utilize those additional picks that we gained from trading back on players that actually work out and succeed for us. Whether it be from one side scouting the wrong players, identifying the wrong players in the draft, and then on the other side, their lack of development with the coaching staff that we had. I feel like with Adam Peters in our corner and this coaching staff that we've assembled, the more picks, the better for real. But I say take number 2 overall pick quarterback. My preference is Jayden Daniels, but I'm very happy with Drake May either way. And then maybe if you want to start the trade back once we get to like maybe the 2nd, 3rd round, or especially 4th through 7th, I can see them being like, hey man, I found George Kittle in the 5th. Give me more 5th round picks, please. I found Talanoa Hufanga in the 5th round as well. Give me more 5th round picks. I found Juwan Jennings in the 7th, Brock Purdy in the 7th. Give me more 7th round picks, please. So if that means taking one of our 6th round picks and turning it to potentially like 2 7ths, I can see them easily going that route. And I'll be very optimistic about that route being taken just simply because we have Adam Peters in our corner. Now moving on from Adam Peters, you also have my guy, Eugene Shin, who's basically our head analytics guy, completely running the analytics side of things. So taking him to the draft, if anything, sounds like we may be doing a little bit more than just scouting. Because, I mean, granted, he knows football. He scouts. He probably watches a little bit of tape here and there, but he's purely the analytics guy. He's the guy that doesn't care what's necessarily going on in front of his eyes. He's going to check his models and be like, yeah, statistically with a situation like this, we need to go for it right now. He's that type of guy. Or you need to draft tight end at this portion of the draft because the data shows that tight ends drafted at this time in a draft tend to work out the best, or things like that as far as value. Like, he's one of those guys. Yeah, he's going to trust his eyes, but at the end of the day, he's probably going to trust the data more times than not. Oh, even over his eyes at times. So like as far as like the whole human side of things, emotions, mentality, all of that type of stuff, that's more of like the Adam Peters, Dan Quinn side. Eugene Shin is pure cold-hearted numbers. That's it. So for him to be going to the scouting combine, I mean, I don't necessarily think he's going to have much to do with the interviews or film sessions that they potentially put players through. And of course, he's probably going there for specific numbers like measurables and test results and things like that. But he could technically get that away from the scouting combine. If he's there physically at the scouting combine, it sounds like they need their numbers guy, their value guy, to potentially be there and try to calculate some potential trades. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm inferring. That's what I'm kind of assuming. I'm not reporting that that's what's happening, but Eugene Shin at the scouting combine as a pure numbers guy is a little interesting because, like I've said several times, the NFL scouting combine isn't just where draft prospects go to get their measurables documented, to show off their athleticism and drills, compare themselves amongst the other draft prospects in various drills, and also do their interviews, meet with teams and things like that. It's not just that. It's also the place where everybody and their mama about to be at, man. As far as NFL circles go, general managers, president of football operations, head coaches, maybe even some owners, and anybody else who has any impact on what a team does personnel-wise, team building-wise, free agency, draft, all of that type of stuff, everybody is going to be there in Indianapolis for the most part. Again, some head coaches have already announced that they won't be there. We're going to talk about that at the end of the video, but generally, everybody's there. You need to at least have a good group of guys that you really trust there because it's very important. So since everybody's going to be there, even though free agency doesn't technically start until March 11th with the legal tampering period starting that day, and then we technically can't start making trades till March 13th when the new league year starts. I'm saying the combine is where a lot of groundwork gets done for a lot of these trades that end up happening. It's really where a lot of the groundwork gets done for a lot of things, maybe free agency, even like draft trades or player trades, all of it. Like if you're a fan of a franchise that hopes your team makes a draft day trade, the catalyst for that becoming a reality could simply be something as simple as like a team's GM bumping into another team's GM. They just so happen to run into each other somewhere behind the scenes at the stadium in Indianapolis and said their highs, and then just basically ended up talking about a potential trade, just talking, having a good conversation, and being like, you know what, man, you might want to consider the trade now. Of course, it could literally be that simple and random. And I'm also pretty sure that a lot of people are going to the combine knowing what I'm talking about, with intentions and with a bigger focus on actually achieving some trades and things like that. But it could also be something that simple where you just have healthy relationships with everybody, like an Adam Peters, a Bob Meyer, Rick Spielman, all of those guys do, even a Lance Newmark. And then just from shaking hands and talking to everybody, maybe that starts up some little bit of trade talk and things like that amongst those guys. But my point is, this is where a lot of trade talks first get started. I'm not sure if it's the majority, but I know for a fact a lot of trades that won't actually happen until months from now, weeks from now, or won't even be like announced until weeks or months from now. A lot of those get started at the scouting combine, and some of them probably even get finished. Like they probably agree on a handshake. Okay, yeah. When the time is right, we'll go ahead and get the parameters done. We'll get all of the little details jotted down, figured out, all of the little stuff, and then we'll be ready to announce this together as of like March 13th or maybe sometime later than that. But it's probably like, oh yeah, from like our point of view as a scenario, we're talking to a random team and like we're like, yeah, man, so we got these 2 seconds, you know, and you're somewhere at the end of the first round. 49ers, my ex-team, I'm Adam Peters. Would you be interested in potentially taking one of our seconds and maybe like one of our fourths for us to trade back up into the first round, take your pick, and then now you have an additional second and fourth? Those are the type of trades that are being talked about and started at the NFL Combine, which takes me to my point that with Eugene Shin literally being the analytical guy and Lance Newmark coming here to basically be the middleman between Adam Peters, because Adam Peters is the football guy, Eugene Shin is the analytics guy. So Lance Newmark is basically there to help them speak the same language and translate everything between the two, keep them on the same page. It seems like they're bringing Eugene Shin to basically crunch some numbers and utilize his models to see what trade proposals make sense that they may receive at the combine, or some that they maybe have thought of on their end. They talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I mean, that sounds nice, but let me refer to my guy Eugene Shin, look at his model as far as draft value and see if that trade makes sense on our behalf or if we're getting gypped and things like that. I can see him playing that type of role. Also, with Eugene Shin being a numbers guy, I do admit he probably could just simply be there because he wants like immediate first-hand access to those measurables like height, weight, arm length, hand length, all of that type of stuff, and also test the numbers like from speed, agility, explosion drills, all of that type of stuff, put it into his analytical models and database as soon as possible so we can go ahead and get the work. Like he's going to be on this Jimmy Neutron, Dexter's Laboratory type of stuff while he's there. But I really feel like for him to be there personally, in person, I really feel like that's some trade stuff going on behind the scenes. But I could be exaggerating, I could be blowing this out of proportion, but I really have a strong feeling there. Now, remember the name we mentioned earlier, Brian Porter? I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all were like, who? Just to let you know, he's the director of football operations. And if you want to know what he exactly does, his role is to direct the football operations team travel, budget, and support the day-to-day logistics in the department. So basically, they're going to Indianapolis under his plan. He's the itinerary, he's the budget, this is where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, how much it will cost us, all of that type of stuff. So Brian Porter is very important. He may not necessarily contribute directly to like wins and losses on the field. He's not going to be a part of the process as to why we draft certain guys, sign certain guys in free agency, make whatever trades, but he's a very important piece to what the Commanders are building. And if he does a great job, they'll do a great job. So I'm really happy, man. And it sounds like, again, we're bringing all of the most important people to our team building side of things on this serious mission right now. Again, keep in mind, the Avengers, this is a mission. We're going down there to dominate and conquer. We're trying to walk away with the most information, the best information, better than any other franchise walks away with. And then I know, Martin Mayhew probably stuck out like a sore thumb from that list of people that I listed immediately after the intro. Like nails scratching on a chalkboard when you heard his name mentioned. I'm not gonna lie, but his title is Senior Personnel Executive Advisor to the GM. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying that he's really just Adam Peters' homeboy, and that basically Adam Peters trusts Martin Mayhew because they go way back, even from their time together with the 49ers. And basically, Martin Mayhew will have an opinion, but let me emphasize, he will not have a say. Let me emphasize that. Let me repeat it. Yeah, he will have an opinion. Adam Peters likes him, he trusts him, but he will not have any say like he did last year. He has even less power this year than what he had with Ron Rivera. He's literally been demoted. And remember, Ron Rivera felt like he was running the show, and Martin Mayhew was kind of like the sidekick, like the Robin to Ron Rivera's Batman. Well, Martin Mayhew is even further away from Batman now. He's like a random henchman to Adam Peters, basically. But he is still here. Again, Adam Peters really likes him and trusts him, so that's why he's still around. We'll see if a guy like Martin Mayhew was still here after the draft, because like we've talked about several times, if you look at the history of the NFL, new GMs, new front offices and things like that don't fire their scouts and guys that have done any homework on the draft until after the draft. What's the point of firing all these guys after all of the hours and time and travel they put in to scouting these players? You might as well at least utilize that this draft, and then if you want to bring in a whole new scouting department, then you can after the draft. They've already announced that Marty Herney will be here through the draft, but more than likely won't be here by the time the regular season starts. Martin Mayhew may be something similar to that. We'll see. He's more likely to stick around than a Marty Herney, like, who again is already announced like he won't be here for the regular season. But I wouldn't guarantee that Martin Mayhew is going to be here after the draft. I think it's more likely, but I don't think it's guaranteed. And then Rob Rogers. I know a lot of y'all may not know his name. Now, he is a little bit more well-known amongst probably Commanders fans, especially diehard Commanders fans that like are into every little bit of information. A guy like me, I already knew who Rob Rogers was. I didn't know who Brian Porter exactly was, I can admit that, but I know Rob Rogers. I feel like more people know who Rob Rogers is, but either way, just in case, Senior Vice President of Football Administration right there. What does that mean? Basically, he works for the football senior leadership team on the development of player budget parameters, roster management, contract proposals, negotiation strategies, and salary cap management. That's huge, bro. Rogers also oversees the club's football analytics department, along with being one of the main liaisons between the football and business operations. So basically, he's one of the main guys handling contracts, cap space, and those types of numbers and things like that. Like Eugene Shin is more so, when should we go for it on fourth down, game decision wise? Should we kick this field goal? Should we do this and that during a game? And then he also handles team building wise. Is it better to sign a tight end or draft one in the first round? Is it better to sign a running back in free agency or draft one sooner than most people think? Like, how do you value and prioritize certain position groups and things like that? What are some traits you potentially look for in a quarterback based on analytical models? That's one other type of stats. This guy's handling stats like contracts and cap space and things like that. So I think it's really interesting, man, because just like, again, just to go back to Lance Newmark real quick, just like how he's the link between Adam Peters and Eugene Shin, it basically seems like Rob Rogers could be the link between Adam Peters and basically the business side of things. Again, like cap space, things like that. This is your guy if you're into like void years and things like that. All of the different finesses that you could do with free agency and stuff like that. This is your guy. Because Adam Peters is purely football guy, and please stay that way. Hopefully you have guys around that could do all the other stuff, but I want you to stay football guy. You're elite at that. Do that. Eugene Shin is here for all of the analytics, like I've already explained. And then Rob Rogers is here for all of the cap space, contract numbers, finessing contracts, again, like void years, or, you know, getting team-friendly contracts out of people, negotiations, all of that. That's him. So Rob Rogers is huge, man. We love Rob Rogers. At least we love him if he's doing a great job. And that's a guy that Adam Peters needs around him. Adam Peters is elite at what he does, but Eugene Shin on the analytics side, Rob Rogers on the cap space contract side, how they gonna get to the combine and all of that stuff without Brian Porter. I'm pretty sure Brian Porter is also gonna be the guy that's in charge of like figuring out how to get the draft prospects to the DMV for us to work them out in our facilities in Virginia and things like that. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that's leading all of that as well, bringing guys in for prospect visits and meetings and things like that. All of these guys matter. And again, I feel like Lance Newmark bringing him over from the Lions is ridiculously underrated because, again, Adam Peters, great on the football side of things. Eugene Shin, arguably one of the most elite analytics guys in all of sports. Lance Newmark is that guy that has not only like should be able to do it, but we also have experience and proof that he's done it before. Like literally when people talk about Lance Newmark, even before we hired him, the thing about him was that he literally did that exact role for the Lions. He basically was the bridge between the analytics side and the football side, and that's perfect. To come here and do that for Adam Peters and Eugene Shin, to literally translate everything back and forth so they can speak the same language, I love it, man. So I feel like we're taking an all-star cast, the Avengers, to the Scouting Combine. Really can't do much better than that, and I'm super excited because I think we're going to walk away with some great notes, details, information, all of that type of stuff, man. I think we're going to find some more late-round draft sleepers with Eugene Shin leading the charge and all of the guys he got around him. Now, speaking of who he has around him, it's already been announced that 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, and Rams head coach Sean McVay will not attend the Scouting Combine in person, which is really interesting because, again, you have like prospect meetings and things like that. So I'm very confused as to why they're not going. That's really interesting. I hope Dan Quinn is going. Even though Adam Peters is running the show, it's his call on everything. It's his say. I still would like it if we sent as many people as possible, coaching staff wise. Brian Porter, hey, man, open up that budget. If it's a budget problem, I don't care. Y'all better find a way to get them guys out there. I want as many people present at the combine as possible, man. Please get those guys out there. So again, we have 4 coaches already confirmed, and it's really interesting too because Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and Sean McVay all come from that same Shanahan tree, which is really interesting from our point of view as Commanders fans. And then Mike McCarthy, we play him twice a year going against the Cowboys. So those are some very notable head coaches from our point of view on things. But again, I just hope Dan Quinn does go. I hope Cliff Kingsbury goes. I hope Joe Witt Jr. goes. I hope everybody goes, but I haven't seen a confirmation either way for either of those guys. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Stay tuned because I have so many updates I'm ready to get to y'all, man. I'm working on a video where it's like literally a breakdown of what Jayden Daniels is better at than Drake May and what Drake May is better at than Jayden Daniels. Like literally going down a full list of he's better at this, he's better at that, he's better at that, all of that type. It's going to be a complete breakdown. And then from there, you walk away with your opinions on who do you prefer, because there's strengths and advantages to all of them. We're just going to focus on everybody's strengths right now. We're only going to talk about Jayden Daniels' strengths, what advantages he has over Drake May, and vice versa. We're not going to talk about weaknesses. We're just going to talk about all of the great that each of those guys do and who's best at what specific things when it comes to the quarterback position. I'm super excited about that. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. More content and more. Make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, bell next to it, everything. Get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of this in this video. I mean, are you just as excited about the team that we're taking to the combine as I am, or am I just overblowing things and I'm just too hyped for no reason? Let me know all of that, man. Y'all know I'm up for any comment, agree or disagree. I love it, man. I love the interactions in the comment section. I've just been so busy I haven't had a chance to get to them, read and reply to everybody, but I really want to. So stay tuned, stay patient with me. Really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.